2021 is dead. Hello 2022, and if you betray me like 2021 did, then I'm going to run into the sea. Another year is in the books, and this year was a lot more successful for theme parks than the cesspit that was 2020. The past 12 months has seen a lot happen both in and outside of the UK in theme parks. Portland's Park opened up their new area Tornado Springs, which brought a new wave of popularity and intrigue to the park. Velocicoaster opened as a top 10 world ranked roller coaster, and Oakwood Theme Park didn't run out of money. During the last year or so, we've also seen plans unveiled for new exciting developments coming to UK theme parks in the next few years. You've got Chessington's new wing with a whack-ass layout, you've got Thorpe's new coaster with a whack-ass layout, and at this point, I'm just expecting SW9 to just be a straight drop into the Earth's core. Anyway, 2022 is here and the future of UK theme parks looks bright. There's a lot to be built, a lot to be developed, and a lot more still to be announced. So let's hope for a lot more travel, a lot less disruption, and a lot more for me to take the piss out of. Today I'm going to be making my predictions for the 2022 theme park season both inside and out of the UK, and judging by the past 2 years, this is an impossible task. London Resort will be delayed again. I feel like this one's a no-brainer. The project that started back in 2012 has seen as much development as me becoming an astronaut, and let's just say that I don't need to go and get a spacesuit fitted anytime soon. The park was pushed back once again in 2021 with a lot of delays and a long battle over some disruption to important habitats to wildlife. The current opening date is now pushed back to 2025, however, after a full decade of plans with no forward movement and no solid groundworks, I'd expect this to get pushed back even more. And I'll predict that every year until I die. Project Exodus goes through with no layout changes. Project Exodus at Thorpe Park was a big stir this year as being the first roller coaster to be built at Thorpe Park in over a decade since the Swarm in 2012. Wow, that's actually terrifying. That was 10 years ago. Right now, the plans for this new roller coaster have been submitted to Runnymede Council. However, they haven't been approved yet, but I can't see this one getting rejected. And on top of that, I can't see the layout changing because, oh my god, have you seen it? This thing's going to send you to Saturn's 9th moon and you guys are complaining that it's too short. You're not going to have any thighs afterwards. It's going to be one of the best rides in the country, if not Europe.
3 days later.
Completely, utterly perfect. I can't wait to ride it. Also, I can probably see the manufacturer being announced as Mac this year, and possibly a few more marketing things like the theme, the name, because it's not going to be Exodus, otherwise Saw would be called Dylan. But yeah, I can just see this plan developing pretty linearly as we go forward towards 2023 and then into the opening year of 2024. Two major UK parks will show plans for a new roller coaster: 1994, 2006, 2018. Yeah, don't expect 2022 to be anything like those, but I do think we're in for a very exciting few years in the UK theme park community. I haven't included Thorpe Park's Exodus or Chessington's Jumanji coaster in any of these because they've already been announced and unveiled, so I think there's going to be two more just in the rumblings this year. And the two parks I think we're going to start to hear a bit of chat from are Portland's Park and Alton Towers. This year marks 4 years since SW8 Wicker Man in 2018, and if plans start to develop this year and we start to hear about them, we could see a new roller coaster for the 2024 or 2025 seasons. My prediction is for the ride to be in 2025, as Towers never really like to clash with Thorpe, and if Exodus is in 2024, then SW9 will probably be in 2025. As for what it is, I don't know. As for Portland's, they have plenty of space already, and if they clear out a few of their filler rides that aren't really doing much right now, then they can have even more space for a brand new roller coaster. I do know they do have a height limit of the tree line, and that they'll probably still want to focus on the family thrill sort of market that they went with Tornado Springs and with Storm Chaser. So if I had to make a prediction for this, I'd go with a Mac Manta clone from SeaWorld San Diego. Flamingoland coaster doesn't open. I don't know, it's just something's cursed about this coaster. I don't want it to not open, and I don't want anything to go wrong, that's not what I'm saying. I just don't think it's gonna happen. For those of you who don't know, Flamingoland are getting a 10 inversion Intamin like Colossus at Thorpe Park, but it's just had a sketchy history. It was at Hopi Hari in Brazil where it was delivered but never constructed due to financial issues. It was then sold off to a new park in Malaysia, which was Movie Animation Park Studios. I think that's a really weird name for a park, but they also didn't construct it. So this ride has spent the last decade stuck in car parks, and now it's been sent to Flamingoland, and they haven't even really mentioned it. This ride's kind of like a black sheep of the park. It's not really being acknowledged by the park at all. Considering Flamingolander kind of forgetting the existence of the ride, maybe the curse of Flamingosus continues. Drayton Manor has a year to remember. One park who impressed over 2021 is Drayton Manor, who are bouncing back from a really tough half-decade, including legal battles, ride closures, and seemingly God himself not being on their side. Twice. But a fresh coat of paint and a sprucing up the area around Shockwave really impressed people this year, and the reopening of the rapids also really helped them as well. I feel like it would be a while until Drayton really pushes back into that thrill roller coaster market. Of course, they used to have the odd plans for the Woody that got delayed by Brexit, and I think the ride accident, and there were a few really unfortunate things that happened in that time. But I do think in a few solid years they can really see a renaissance here, and when it does come time to build a new roller coaster, I think Buffalo might have to be given the old hee-ho. Hee-ho? Hee-ho! I can see Buffalo getting the elbow quite soon, so maybe enjoy that ride while you can. If you can. Speaking of new attractions at Drayton, Drayton Manor's V advertising is a family thrill flat ride. Drayton Manor have been teasing a new attraction on Twitter that is definitely not Valhalla, guys. It's not Valhalla, it's completely different. There'd be a lot more watermarks if there were. Anyway, these adverts have kind of been teetering on the edge of some sort of volcano thing and then some sort of Viking thing, which of course has the crossover of Iceland? But in all seriousness, I do think this is going to be a Viking theme ride, and more specifically, a Zamperla disco themed to one of their circular shields would look quite nice. Valhalla will be a big success, while Enzo will struggle. It sounds a bit backwards to say because Icon is viewed a lot higher than Valhalla, but I do think these changes to Valhalla have been loved a lot more than the changes to Icon with Enzo. Going into the season, Valhalla will be an unknown quantity, with very few details coming out of what's actually changed within the attraction, and a lot of just quite vague marketing. #V. With Icon, I do enjoy the changes that Enzo is bringing in, and I enjoy Icon as a ride, and the whole experience will be great, but I do expect some hefty upcharges being placed on this in order to keep the queues lower. Over in Australia, Steel Taipan recently opened with a spinning back car, and the prices for that back row went as follows. You basically book out the row rather than paying for a seat, so if you are a single rider wanting to do that experience, you're going to have to pay £28 in order to do it. But if you are two people, then it'll be 14 each. You see it split. I'd expect similar or more here, and I'm not sure if they're going to do the same system where you have to book out the row rather than pay for a seat, but I would expect around £15 for this Enzo attraction. Speaking of Blackpool, I also think the new water park and entertainment complexes will go ahead despite the pushback from Pleasure Beach, purely because I think they're cool and I want them to happen. Chessington's new coaster is not all as it seems. In order for the 2023 opening date, Chessington's Jumanji coaster, as I'm dubbing it, will have to go vertical this year, and I think a lot will be revealed when it does. I'm just not convinced. The layout seems too whack, and it seems to not quite fit in with the park. The weirdly angled reverse spike and the inversion and the turns and the weird helix at the end with the stop angle where you're just going to be laying to the side for a couple seconds, it doesn't sit right. Despite everyone agreeing that this ride looks pretty definitively Swiss, there was never any real confirmation that this was B&M. And more importantly, there was never any confirmation that this was a standard B&M wing coaster. So here's a crazy idea. If I was going to predict anything for this ride to be that's not what we think it is right now, I have a sneaking suspicion that B&M have been secretly planning a new Axis style ride, but to go here. So it would be more of a family one. You'd have the B&M winged seats still, but they'd just be on a little axis so that they can roll and turn, like the SNS axis, like, is it Tranen? That as well. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see this being normal. No one sees this being normal. And that is all of my UK predictions out of the way. Let's really quickly get on some shorter world predictions. NGlandia will announce a new roller coaster. The formerly government-owned park seems to be playing on sandbox mode with infinite money and infinite space, so they can really build whatever they want. If I had to ask Santa for what I'd want here, Mac Hurricane clone, please. Have you seen them? The first Axis is announced. SNS have already confirmed that the first Axis coaster will be going to a European park in the next few years, and I predict that that will be announced in 2022. It is a highly anticipated concept that will arrive with a lot of hype, and I predict that this will go to Walibi Holland. Untamed has acted as a real liaison between the park and the wider community recently, so I reckon that the most popular option here will be for it to go to Walibi Holland, replacing maybe the go-kart track. Multiple Disney delays. The Disney parks have been very busy over the last couple of years, with Galaxy's Edge opening in both California and Florida, and a lot more construction going on both in those parks and elsewhere. A smaller European Galaxy's Edge has been planned for Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris, but with the opening date of a shrug and with so little development going on, I can see this getting pushed back until Avengers Campus and, is it Frozen Land? Is that what they're doing? Until they get built, basically. Crossing the pond, I can see Tron Light Cycle Run also getting delayed this year due to slow progress with construction. Six Flags Qiddiya gets delayed because it just can't, surely. Like, this can't happen. And you've seen it. If you've not seen the plans, look at them. They're like a 10-year-old's first week on Planet Coaster. It's just... oh... Of course, I could go on for hours predicting all of the parks in the world. Will PortVentura get a new coaster? Will Europa Park plan their new Mac? Will Oakwood? No, I'm kidding. But yes, that is all I'm willing to bet my pride on for some predictions for the 2022 theme park season. Hopefully, after the season has finished, I'm going to come back to this video and kind of see if I'm an oracle or just cry in the corner as Falcon's Flight gets built so tall it blocks out the sun. Anyway, what are some of your predictions for the 2022 season and beyond? I'd love to hear them, so just put them in the comments below. Hopefully I should be uploading a lot more this year. I had a lot of ideas in 2021, but just no real time to do them with starting uni and a lot of other stuff going on. So yeah, exciting times ahead. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon.